And we are back on Five with Ives. Frank Holland from CNBC, Mr. Dan Ives from Wedbush, one of the most famous people on Wall Street. Actually, just officially the most famous guy on Wall Street. Every financial news channel, you're on it. 24 hours a day. We need to do the Ives business, the IBC, the Ives business channel.
No, the Ives Holland business. IE.
No. I'm a junior partner in it. It's really just the Ives business channel. It's like all Ives all the time. Like seriously, as my man John Stewart once said, who wears a Hawaiian shirt to an economic crisis? You know what I'm saying? Who does that?
Point.
We're going to dig into a lot of stuff going on, Dan. First thing, Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting over the weekend. Did you have any takeaways? The idea that Warren Buffett will no longer be the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. So many people invest like Buffett, but generally, Apple's obviously a big exception, but generally he hasn't been as interested in tech as many other investors have. Just your views on Warren Buffett.
I mean, look, obviously the legend himself, right? And I think it's someone where, especially when it comes to Apple, I don't think we're where we are today if it's not for Buffett. I mean, Buffett was huge. If you go back to like financial crisis, you imposed in during periods, it was always the Buffett confidence around Apple and obviously around so many of these other names. Stock even selling off a bit, just with Buffett obviously retiring. There's worries like, does that mean there's going to be more of a change in terms of Apple? I don't think so. That's always been, obviously the number one holding there. But look, I think investors, he's going to be missed, right? And it's something where his words can't be replaced.
Right. I mean, I'm going to take a quick look at Berkshire year to date. I mean, I'm looking at it's having a good run year to date so far. So I just think a lot of people, not only do they admire Warren Buffett, they want to invest like him. And with that said, I want to bring in a gentleman who I've met and have talked to not only on Worldwide Exchange, but otherwise, Mr. Patti, CEO of VistaShares ETFs, the purveyor, if you will, of the OMAH ETF, the Omaha ETF. Adam, Dan Ives.
Hey, Adam. Hey,
Dan. That was some intro. I don't know if I can live up to that. You should have shut me off right now.
That was so really quick for Dan's edification, because even though Dan does watch Worldwide Exchange, he's Mr. International, Mr. Worldwide. He can't always catch it. Give us a quick breakdown of the of your ETF, the OMAH.
Yeah. I mean, it's very simple. Invest like Buffett, but with 15% income per year, paid monthly. So what we do is we buy a portfolio of 21 securities. Our top holding is always BRKB. Then we buy the next 20 publicly traded securities within Berkshire Hathaway in the right proportions as, to what Berkshire Hathaway owns within the constraints of what we can do in an ETF structure. And then we use an option strategy to generate 15% income per year. That's our target. And we pay it monthly. So 1.25% monthly is our target there. And it's been going, the product has really resonated with investors. We launched it March 5th and, we reached 100 million last week and we're already probably going to be up to 200 million by the end of this week. It's
congrats. Wild. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thrilled. It's a great product. It's a simple product. People understand it and, really happy about it.
So Adam, I do have to point out, I love you, man, but I got to point out, Berkshire Hathaway year to date up over 14%. The ETF not doing as well, just in all fairness, down about 3.5%. So really quick, so Berkshire Hathaway B shares, those are the top holding. Mm-hmm. And then just percentage wise, when it comes to holdings, where's Apple fit in? What are some of the other tech names? As you know, Dan is Mr. Tech, if you will.
Yeah, Apple's our top holding. It's right under BRKB, and we've got all the financials underneath that. We've got, American Express and VeriSign and Bank of America and Citigroup. We've got Kroger and DaVita. So we have, all the holdings in there within the top 20. We're not going to keep up necessarily with BRKB when it roars to the upside. It's there's no free lunch. So if we're paying 15%, over time, investors should expect an upside capture of around 70 to 75%. And downside 85 to 90%. But look what's happening today. I mean, we're down, I'm looking now, 0.3 and Berkshire's down, 4.2. Because we're not, look, I mean, the sentiment related to a single security like Berkshire B is going to be divorced from the portfolio we're holding. Since we're holding all the other 20 holdings within Berkshire as well. So the price movement's going to be different. We're a good proxy, but we're not going to move exactly like Berkshire B.
One more question I have for you, Adam. So we're obviously, Berkshire's changing skippers. It's going to be Warren Buffett the rest of this year. Then Abel takes over after that. Warren Buffett was famous saying he doesn't invest in companies he doesn't quite understand. Greg Abel's just a different person from a different generation. Does this mean, in your mind, do you think we're going to get more tech holdings when it comes to Berkshire Hathaway's portfolio, and maybe just different companies than we would have previously seen with Warren Buffett steering the ship?
I would think over time there might be some changes, but it's going to take time. And clearly, Abel's been with the company since 1992. He's been the heir apparent for years. The speculation is that he's been running the day-to-day for quite some time at this point. So, he's been steeped in the Buffett philosophy of, value tilted, of long-term holding, of patience. So I don't see any wholesale massive changes occurring very quickly. Over time there could be some rotation, but in terms of divesting some of the largest holdings or I don't know. I mean, he's going to have to do something with the $350 billion in cash at some point, but my sense he's going to be patient about it, and it'd be interesting to see what he does.
Because that'll be the big that's the big question, right? Like with all that cash, what's the move now?
Yeah, I mean, your guess is definitely better than mine, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But it's going to be a measured approach. I mean, he's not going to come in like a gunslinger. Having spent all of his being trained by the best in the in the history of the world, Warren Buffett. So my guess is that the philosophy stays the same. But to your point, his interests might diverge, and his understanding of certain types of companies might diverge. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 3 to 5 years. And I really think that's the timeline. It's not going to be the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can I tell you guys why I was so excited to do this? By the way, Adam Patti, CEO of VistaShares, your ETF, the OMAH. It tracks the top holdings of Berkshire plus an options overlay to kind of create some income. Here's why I'm so excited. $350 billion in cash. Let's just kind of speculate. Let's have a little fun with this.
Yeah.
Under the new Berkshire, what do you see the potential investments being? What would be Buffett like? What would be the investments a Buffett disciple like Abel might look at that maybe Warren Buffett's like, I don't know about that, but Greg Abel's obviously a different person. What are the tech companies that you think kind of fit into the model of a Berkshire portfolio that is more value, focused? Dan, Adam, either one of you start.
Frank, when you have that many books behind you, you have to have a good answer.
So,
Adam, here's the deal. When you have just a good book background,
I gotta get my plug for my laptop.
I mean, come on. You need to have the end. I mean, come on, 1600 SAT or type stuff.
I love it. Yeah, God. I mean, it'd be interesting. It's a fun game to play for sure. I mean, I think, I mean, what are the biggest trends in the marketplace, right? I mean, AI, right? Is there an AI play there? Is there a picks and shovels type play there? More of an industrial play that's powering the AI revolution. I don't think he's going out and buying a big chunk in Palantir, but what do I know?
Well, why not?
I mean,
that's why I thought this would be fun today. Like, why is Palantir not a holding? I mean, like, while Palantir used to be a black box, I think they've done a great job of not only explaining what they do, but they send those boot camps out. Like, I'm surprised they haven't been like, hey, Berkshire, let me send you a boot camp and just show you what we do.
No.
I mean, if they're smart, they probably are, but I would guess their valuation metrics are a little bit more extended than, traditionally Berkshire Hathaway would look at. But, again, what do I know? It's interesting. I mean, if you're looking at the AI infrastructure, I think
you even wonder about names like an Uber or something like, in terms of disrupt. That, Frank, I would not be shocked to see like a name like Uber, just given value and maybe like where that disruptive theme in tech that.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, Griffin just took a big chunk in there, didn't he, recently as well? I was going to say something more like a Vertiv, like an old style cooling.
Oh yeah.
Driving the growth. They're in every single AI data center around the world, and that's just getting going. So, something like that could make sense.
Yeah, what do you think? I mean, Uber's a good one. Like, that's a very easy.
I think Uber, and look, I think Abel. Even though like he's been behind the scenes, I also think that Abel could be a little more tech focused. That'd be like I'd be surprised if he didn't at least head a little more down that path than maybe what we've seen with Buffett. That would be in terms of valuation sensitive, but that's
interesting.
Well, because look, if you're looking at the coming years, 3, 5, 10, you have to have plays that would maybe fit valuation wise into some AI revolution into some of the themes if it fit valuation.
Why not a Tesla then? Right? I mean,
But look, that's again, these are things where I think, like to Frank's point, like I think it's going to be like a little bit of a whiteboard here. I think everyone's going to now be focused on, like, when they actually put out their holdings to see the major changes, even between now and year end, and of course into next year.
Yeah, I'm doing a bad job with these graphics, by the
yeah.
way. Um,
And the graphics are really good.
I didn't fill them all the way out. I should have done the whole screen. That's a story for a different day, though. I brought this up, the Mag 7. Is there a chance in your mind, Dan or Adam, that maybe we see Berkshire dip their toe in the Mag 7? I mean, the stocks certainly have underperformed right now. Their valuations have pulled back quite a bit. Speaking of picks and shovels for AI, why not an Alphabet? I mean, that's a company that is all picks and shovels. You get some of the advanced AI exposure. You have a very stable ad business as well. And a search business that may be getting disrupted, but also at the same time, Alphabet may have the ability to create a Gen AI application that kind of supplements what they're losing from search and pick it up in Gen AI.
Certainly gotten beaten down. So, the valuation metrics are more in line and certainly more attractive than they've been over the last couple of years. I would agree with that one. That's interesting.
I also wonder if the valuation metrics, they start to shift a bit, like like if they're there, but it starts to maybe like loosen out a little in terms of willing to pay up for maybe companies that they believe could ultimately like grow into the valuation.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, Amazon for sure. I'm just looking down the holdings now.
I mean, Amazon, another very easy to understand business. Yeah. The retail business is insanely stable. Like, I'm not giving up my Prime subscription. You know what I mean? I like to be able to just hit the button and stuff just shows up at the house. Remember, I just ordered dog food. Literally, it just showed up.
That's the best.
We did this. Yeah. So, I mean, there's some really stable businesses there. I don't know what the, I mean, Adam, maybe you're looking at the valuation on Amazon is. I think the last time I checked, maybe it was around 40 or something. I mean, it's a little elevated, but you're getting a lot of growth. Not from the retail business, obviously, but from the cloud business and from the ad business. They have a really good ad business over there too.
Yeah, I mean, it's their. I've got them at their 18th largest holding right now, and in Omaha, OMAH. But yeah, I mean, they could certainly add a position there. That valuation has come in quite a bit. And to your point, retail, at the end of the day, it's a retail business with a huge AI component in the cloud. So. That's a good business.
Adam, I'm curious. I have a question. Like, when you were watching on Saturday, and Buffett we'll call them shots across the bow, not naming Trump, but talking about tariffs and in terms of not being used as a weapon. Like, what do you think about that? In terms of because that was everything Buffett says, just like Griffin it's very specific. It's not by accident. Like what do you think about that?
Yeah, Well, I mean, he has certainly, look, I guess his statement really was, at the end of the day, don't use tariffs as it's an act of war, and don't use, and I don't necessarily disagree or agree, but it's introduced a lot of volatility in the market that we did downplay that volatility. I think the administration is using it as negotiating leverage right now, and we'll end up, there'll be some type of negotiated settlement or midpoint with all these different countries to try to get part of the way of where he wants to be for the economy. But the thing is, interestingly though, I mean, the speculation is that the Berkshire portfolio is a little more insulated perhaps to the tariffs than some other portfolio, given the high concentration in financial services. But yeah, I mean, he's a very wise man. It's like, listening to Yoda, right? I mean, you got to listen to it, and you should take it to heart and not dismiss it. So hopefully the smart people in the administration are just pondering this.
Yeah. So Adam, one last question for you. I know you got to get going. You got a flight to catch. A new CEO, Berkshire is notorious for not offering a dividend. Do you see that changing? I think that's one of the attracting points of your ETFs, that you basically create a synthetic dividend with the options.
Correct. I mean, they won't certainly be paying 15%. I did see Griffin mention that today or earlier today on CNBC. What I thought was more intriguing were the buybacks. I mean, that seemed to be a better use of capital than just distributing it right out to the shareholders. And their whole model at Berkshire has been to hoard cash and look for those opportunities and swoop in when valuations were where they want them to be. So, and Buffett, I believe his quote was that, the opportunities may not be tomorrow, but within the next 5 years, there will be plenty of them. So my guess is they're not going to give up that cash hoard so easily.
There we go. Adam Patti, CEO of VistaShares.
Adam, thanks so much coming. Awesome.
Oh,
thanks. It's great to meet you. I see you everywhere. And Frank, thank you very much for the time. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Hey, listen, safe travels, Adam. We'll be in touch soon.
Thanks, Adam.
Have a great one.
Take it easy.
Take care.
Great. No, but it is, Frank, that was awesome. Because it is true. Like, everyone's wondering, like, what,
Yeah.
and like, you see Apple down, right? Because everyone's like, oh, does this mean like Buffett leaving? Is there a change? I mean, look, they've been selling Apple clearly, the last year.
Yeah. We got to switch gears. We mentioned it, but we didn't really talk about it. Whoop, there it is. I thought you knew.
Messy of AI. Messy of AI.
Palantir. See, I did a better job on this one. Palantir up year to date, 64%. Jeesh. Earnings coming up after the bell. What do you expect?
It's the last, but Frank, it's the last piece. Like, if you think about like hyperscale and everything we've gotten, Palantir is the last piece to kind of put that
NVIDIA is
puzzle
the last
together.
piece.
Well, but it's the last piece because of the use case. And I think, like, look, I think U.S. commercial growth is off the charts. And we've talked about in our checks, like, we have not seen any slowdown. To some extent, acceleration relative to where a lot of these deals are coming through. They're gaining more and more share. And look, I think the biggest question is federal, right? You got like obviously like half its federal exposure, Doge, everything we're seeing. Is that like a huge negative for Palantir? I mean, everything we've seen from DoD and all the budgets, I believe it's pretty insulated, and I still believe meritocracy wise, they could gain incremental shares more. This goes to software dollars.
Can I ask you a question? After we heard from ServiceNow, isn't that a positive read into Palantir? Like ServiceNow is a
huge positive. Huge
yeah,
positive.
it's a good read, right?
I mean, everything we've seen is a huge positive read. From ServiceNow to hyperscalers to CapEx spend to like all of that lines up, and what we've talked about on our checks, it all lines up to like, I think this is one. I think like 2-3 years, it's $1 trillion market cap. Like that's like.
Wait, really quick on service. I was saying specifically, ServiceNow actually grew their government business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure we're on the same page on that one, because like Bill McDermott seemed to be bullish on the government business.
He was bullish.
In a pullback.
But when it comes to pullback, like the pullback are in some of the low priority areas. But if you look like Microsoft, it's been positive. I think Oracle is going to be a positive when it comes to on the government side, and Palantir specifically on DoD. A lot of those dollars are actually accelerating within, especially within Black Ops, with a lot of these budgets.
You know what else I talked to you about this when it comes to government and software and how much they're spending? Nikesh Arora from Palo Alto.
Dude, the GOAT, exactly. And he is phenomenal insight.
Cybersecurity pretty boy, man. That guy's something else.
But Nikesh, Nikesh is unbelievable. He's the dude. But he's the dude.
Yeah, he's the dude.
Exactly.
I got to give it to him. He was a great gentleman to talk to. But one of the things we talked about was a report from another one of your competitors about the spending on cybersecurity year over year being down significantly. Not only when it comes to people, but when it just comes to the overall spend. And I talked to him about it. I was like, government's a big part of your business. He goes, listen, they're cutting prices cutting spending right now. And maybe that'll have a short-term impact. I'm paraphrasing what he said, obviously. But long story short, the cuts in personnel are going to be replaced by product to kind of upsize the capabilities. And he feels like he's going to be a longer-term beneficiary when they spend more money on product. And I think Palantir has that same potential.
And I think on Palo Alto, it actually accelerates their whole end-to-end platformization strategy. So everything that Nikesh has kind of built, this can accelerate that. And it's not coincidental. Palo and Palantir are two of our favorites, not just because of the leaders of those companies, Karp, Nikesh, but where they're both positioned. And, it's one, like, I think Palantir is just going to be another notch on the belt. I don't care where the stock trades 8 minutes after they report, but over the next 24, 48, I think this is a stock that, like, it's on its way.
I got to say, though, Dan, it trades at 220 times forward earnings, though.
but I don't. But Frank, I mean, you've talked about it so many times. I just think on this one, you have to be able to look at what free cash flow looks like over the next 3 to 4 years. And my view is you went from like 300 million of free cash flow to what's essentially going to be 5 to 6 billion over the next 2 to 3 years. And I think when you start to look at those metrics, when you get to 8, 10 billion of free cash flow, I don't think the valuation is so egregious if you're able to look down the road. I mean, I think that's the only way that you could look at companies like this.
And I throw one other thing out there that, I mean, obviously doesn't have a direct impact on the stock or the performance, the valuation, anything like that. Elon Musk has been everywhere. Doge, like hanging out, wearing hats, wearing, you know what I mean? It's like everywhere.
Yeah.
When's the last time you've seen Carp anywhere?
I mean, I saw last week in DC.
But like,
Look,
but we're mainstream. Like, where have you seen
but
him?
I think that's intentional.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's
I
head down.
I think it's intentional because Carp is dialed in leading Palantir.
That's what
And
I'm
also
saying.
and I think Carp has read the room well. Not wanting, I mean, he had his book come out and
Yeah.
he had the interview with Sarah and the other stuff. But the point is like he doesn't want to, the focus is not to like it's focusing on customers where Palantir is not to distract. I think Carp's done like a phenomenal job on that front.
And I'm just saying, just to be clear, I'm not knocking Elon Musk because I don't know what he's doing. I mean, the dude's
But
running like
we've
six
talked
companies.
about it
Yeah.
openly, right? I
I'm
mean,
definitely not knocking him, but investors seem to feel like he's distracted. When it comes to Alex Karp, yeah, he put out a book, but I haven't heard anybody who's a Palantir investor be concerned about it. Saying, you know what I mean? Like
not at
nobody's
all. Not at all. He's
not at
done
all.
such a and also he's led like internally like the vibe like he's done a phenomenal job like leading Palantir to this next thing. And look, when you have a $12 million deal on the table, companies think about signing it. Carp's flying in for those deals. Like I'm just saying, no different than what McDermott does, Nadella, what I think Kurian from Google does. Like those are the ones. Like it's like in these moments,
They're closers.
they're closers, and that's why to some extent that's why like all these people like they've built their legacy on closing deals because they're leading these organizations during these transformational periods.
Mm. All right. Fed decision. Fed meeting starts tomorrow. Fed decision on Wednesday. So I got a question for you. We were talking about what Berkshire Hathaway might do when it comes to tech going forward. I got a question for you. We don't know what's going to come out of this Fed meeting. I think it's a
Sure.
98% chance of a pause if you look at the CME Fed Watch tool. But I'm just going to show a couple different parts of the tech landscape.
Yep.
Triple Q's, obviously just mega cap tech, down almost 5% year to date.
Yep.
Software, the IGV, down about a quarter of a percent. Cybersecurity up over 7.5, almost 8%. If I'm investing from the Fed decision on Wednesday at 2 o'clock on, what do you expect to see the best year-end return? From that point,
Software is software/cyber is going to be probably the biggest outperformer within tech.
Mhm.
It might be just because it comes down to tariffs, right? Like, in other words, like the Fed basically because of tariffs, the inflationary policy, obviously they're not going to do anything. They're obviously going to take a much more of a kind of wait and see stance. But when it comes to ultimately what this decision, what it all means, I continue to think software is like the safety blanket trade through hyperscalers, through cybersecurity in tech.
All right, we're gonna leave it there, man. I know you got a busy. How many other networks do you have to be on today, man? Tell me.
Dude,
12, 15?
Dude, CNBC first always, man. So yeah, what Palantir getting ready for that
Yeah.
4 o'clock.
Yeah, all
Let's
jokes
see if
aside, you're
I
going to be on Closing Bell Overtime. John Fort, Morgan Brennan breaking down those results.
always the yeah.
So wait, which one's Palantir is the Messi of AI or the
Palantir
Saquon
is
Barkley?
messy of AI.
That's the Messi. Okay. Listen, I got to keep track. It's the Saquon Barkley of AI. Might have the Wilt Chamberlain of AI out there. I don't even know.
I mean, we could have Abdul Carter. Like you don't know where this all goes.
Mr. Dan Ives,
Dude,
Mr. Wall
legend,
Street himself. Dan Ives from Wedbush, Frank Holland from
Holland legend.
CNBC. Another 5 with Ives. We're going to see you guys next time. More special guests. We're going to do this live.